Hi, my name is Nurul HAFIZA Binti SIDIK. My matric number is A20A1863. Today I will present about the introduction of the effectiveness of virtual lecture on student performance in examination. The effectiveness of virtual lecture on student performance in examination has become a topic of significant interest in the field of education. Virtual lecture, known as online lecture or e-lecture, refer to teaching session delivered digitally platform, allowing students to access course content remotely. This lecture use multimedia elements such as video presentation, audio recording, slideshows, and interactive feeder to deliver educational material. By utilizing this technology tool, virtual lecture aim to engage students in active learning and provide flexible learning opportunity. The purpose of this report is to investigate the effectiveness of virtual lecture on student performance in exam. Understanding the impact of virtual lecture on exam result also important in determining the effectiveness of this teaching method and its potential for improved student learning and performance. Okay, next I will talk about problem statement. Since the movement control order was introduced in 2020, many sectors have been affected including higher education. Sinar Harian 2021. The education system has shifted to online learning and some still use it today. Online learning is easier for students because they only need to sit at home and interact with lecturers through applications such as Google Meet, Zoom, and Google Team. Not only students, universities and lecturers also do not have enough preparation to face this online learning. Some of them are just learning to use technology. Based on the previous studies, the findings show the positive result from the respondent of students in UMK Kelantan. Next, research objective. For virtual lecture, the research objective is to identify the effectiveness of online learning among UMK students in Kelantan. The next objective is to know about the important variable that affect student satisfaction with e-learning as well as to improve student performance and strengthen e-learning implementation. Next, for performance student, our objective is to identify the relationship between online learning and student performance in exam. Identify the factor that affect the university student grade point average GPA among UMK students also one of our objective. For research question, the aim of the research is to examine the student performance in examination among UMK students. There are 5 research questions that need to follow. The first is why virtual lecture can help students in exam. The second is what is the difference in student achievement level when learning virtually and physically. The third is what is a virtual lecture more effective than a physical lecture. The fourth is what is a virtual lecture more preferred by students than a physical lecture. And the last one is how do virtual lecture help students adjust their time to study and relax. That's all from me. Thank you. Next, operational definition. There are 3 elements. The first one is virtual lecture offers sufficient flexibility. Flexible virtual lecture means that students can attend class remotely or anywhere. Students also can follow a course according to their personal schedule and learning style. The second is virtual lecture software user-friendly and efficient. User-friendly software such as eCapsule is very easy for students to use and understand. Every lecture material and assignment from the lecturer is stored in a system for students to use. The last one is independent learning skill and self-reliance. Students are free to do assignment or review lesson at any time they like. Students are also free to do all the lecturer's assignment either alone or in study group.
Hi, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Nurul Nasuha Binti Zulkeflee. My metric number is 820A184. Today, I will present my part, which is chapter 2. It is a literature review. First of all, I will present about independent variables. As you guys can see in the slide, the first title is Evolution of Evidence-Based Practice in Online Learning, a Meta-Analysis and Review of Online Learning Studies that prepared by the U.S. Department of Education. This article aims to examine the effectiveness of virtual learning compared to classroom teaching, the effect of adding face-to-face teaching with an online component, the benefit that affect online learning, and the conditions that affect the result of online learning. The report begins by highlighting the significant growth of online learning in educational settings and the need to re-examine its efficiency given advancement in technology and instructional approach. It emphasized the importance of empirical evidence in informing policy decisions regarding online learning in K-12 educational and teacher preparation. Next, the journal title is Changing Course 10 Years of Tracking Online Education in the United States. It's a comprehensive report that focuses on the state of online learning in U.S. higher education. It reveals that the proportion of institutions considering online education as critical to their long-term strategy that has steadily increased over the past decade. In 2012, approximately 69.1% of chief academic officers reported online learning as critical, while only 11.2% stated it was not. The majority of academic leaders rate online instruction as equal to or better than face-to-face instruction, although a minority 23.0% believe it had inferior learning outcomes. The report also discussed the emergence of MOOCs with only 2.6% institutions offering them and 9.4% planning to do so. Public universities were more likely to offer MOOCs while private for-profit schools were in the planning stage. Overall, the report provides valuable insight into the increasing importance of online education, academic leaders' perception of learning outcomes, and the adoption of MOOCs in U.S. higher education. The third one is the journal title is Online or Physical for Histology course, which one is the better? This research article or study focus on evaluating of acceptance and learning effectiveness of combined physical and online lecture for a histology course. The study involved 1.0 students from different departments, including medical, dental, and another department. The researcher used a questionnaire-based survey to gather data from the student and acceptance of the learning method and their perception of learning effectiveness. Next slide is the article title is Comparison between two asynchronous teaching methods in an undergraduate dental course, which is a pilot study. The article compares two asynchronous teaching methods, which is virtual flipped learning and virtual traditional learning in an undergraduate dental course. It examines their impact on learning performance and student perception. The study finds no significant difference in knowledge improvement between FVL and VFL and VTL, but reveals the student had more positive experience with virtual flipped learning. The article acknowledged the challenges of transitioning to e-learning and suggests that VFL can be a valuable option for delivering dedicated component in dental education. However, further research is needed to address limitation and explore active online learning format. Next is about medical student engagement in a virtual learning environment positively correlates with course performance and satisfaction in physiotherapy. This journal article examined the effectiveness of a flipped classroom approach in virtual psychiatry education for medical students. The study evaluates student and faculty perception of the approach and investigate the relationship between student engagement, course performance, and satisfaction. The curriculum was rapidly transitioned to a virtual learning environment due to the COVID-19 pandemic. Data from survey, quizzes, and examination were collected and analyzed. The study highlighted positive correlation between student engagement, course performance, and satisfaction. The findings demonstrate the value of the flipped classroom approach in a virtual learning environment for medical education. The next one is about students' perception of using Microsoft Teams application in online learning during the COVID-19 pandemic. This study was conducted at the University of Nusa Nipah, or we call it UNIPA, with 176 students from the Faculty of Education and Teacher Training, which is FKIP. The finding shows that the students responded positively to the use of Microsoft Teams application for online learning. They expressed enthusiasm, agreement, and the ability to communicate, interact with lecturers and their classmates. A significant proportion of students did not experience obstacles in accessing the application. The majority of respondents expressed the desire to continue using Microsoft Teams application for learning during the pandemic, but improvements are needed. The study also included interviews to gather additional insight. Next is the last slide for independent variables literature review. The next one is compensating for academic loss, online learning, and student performance during the COVID-19 pandemic. This journal article focused on student performance in virtual lecture during the COVID-19 pandemic in China's high school. The study reveals that receiving online education improved student academic results. Students taught by high-quality external teachers had higher exam scores compared to those taught by teachers from their own school. Distance learning was particularly beneficial for students in rural areas. Furthermore, students who use computers for online education outperformed those who use smartphones. Overall, online learning positively impacted student performance, including those with lower achievement levels due to the quality of teachers. Next article is about increasing student achievement motivation during online learning activities. This study investigated the effectiveness of online learning application on academic achievement and student performance, or we call it student motivation. The researcher advised conducting systematic survey to understand student motivation and interest, tailoring learning activities accordingly. Additionally, individual level survey are recommended appropriate support. Online learning facilitates better communication among students, requiring teachers to be creative in utilizing technology to increase student interest. Various online applications like WhatsApp, Zoom, or Microsoft Teams are used as learning media. Educators also gather data on students' home learning facilities to ensure the effectiveness of implementation. Next is self-efficiency student engagement study online throughout the period of COVID-19 movement control. This study examines the relationship between self-efficiency, student involvement, and academic performance in online learning. It involved 219 students, and the result indicate high score for self-efficiency and student engagement. A majority of students achieve a high CGPA score, suggesting positive outcomes. Most students had prior exposure to online platforms and demonstrate proficiency in online learning since the pandemic began. Time management skills were also measured with respondents generally displaying a high level. However, some students face challenge in effectively managing time due to limited technology skills. The last one is the article is about the effect of COVID-19 on education. This article deals with the impact of changing the way the student learn. Based on this study, changing the 100% of online education system has a very bad effect and can disturb the health, especially the children and the other adult students. The effect varies greatly according to present conditions such as age and maturity. Although many students can balance themselves in new learning, but not at all. Not all the students. There are a few who cannot focus on teaching and education from home due to the lack of time and necessary of skills. Those already disadvantaged due to disabilities may be the most affected during the COVID-19 pandemic school closure and will have the hardest time. Literature review for dependent variables. The first article is about student performance in teaching neuroanatomy using traditional and technology-based methods. During the COVID-19 pandemic, digital technologies resources emerged as alternative to traditional cadaver-based classes in neuroanatomy. This study compared students' performance in standard course to technology-based approach like video lectures, 3D models, and 3D printed specimens. Video lectures and 3D printed models were found to significantly enhance student short-term recollection of neurothermal features compared to the traditional method. This finding highlight to the potential of technology-based digital strategies to improve interactive and sensory-rich learning experiences in neuroanatomy education. Next is attending lectures in person, hybrid or online. How do students choose and what about the outcome? The COVID-19 pandemic exposed inconsistencies in higher education, particularly in the lecturing format. Many students prefer attending lectures on campus, but recordings and live online transmission were also used. Students made conscious choice about attending lectures, and interactive engagement course affected live lecture attendance for low achieving students. There were also no clear link between watching, recording, and poorer exam grades. Universities should incentive on-site lecture at on-site lecture attendance and remove barriers while implementing peer instruction and technology enable formative assessment to enhance the value of on-site attendance. Next is the potential for student performance prediction in small cohorts with minimal available attribute. Measuring student success in university course provide useful data for academic leadership. Class activities and interim assessment are used in traditional approach to identify which is who the students are at risk of failing or withdrawing. However, in today's university environment, with online course material and lower lecture tutorial attendance, this identification is more difficult. Although data mining and machine learning algorithms provide relevant assessments mark prediction, many university modules have tiny student cohorts and restricted qualities. Next slide is the article title is Predicting Student Performance Using Machine Learning in FNIRS Data. This study investigates the effectiveness of interactivity mechanisms like quizzes in online learning, focusing on task involvement using functional near-infrared spectroscopy, which is FNIRS. The researchers identified correct and wrong answer of typical quizzes in virtual environment. Data from 18 student prefrontal contract regions were collected and modeled. Using supervised learning algorithm, the results showed that channels F4, F6, and AF3 until AFZ were the most relevant for predictions. The findings can help teachers and school managers better understand the teaching and learning process in video lectures and improve presentation content. Next is impact of pairing and augmented reality demonstration with online video lectures. Does it improve students' performance? Online video lectures have become increasingly popular due to advancement in communication technology. Basic open online course offers various but also present challenges such as low complication rates and dependence on student engagement. The findings indicate a positive influence on scores and increased excitement and involvement among students. Next is the role of the assessment policy in the relationship between learning and performance. This study investigates the relationship between self-regulated learning and engagement in medical schools under two assessment policies. The new policy showed better year one performance and involvement compared to the old policy. The findings highlight the importance of assessment policy designed in improving academic achievement and student learning. The last slide is talk about the influence of academic self-efficiency on academic performance. This review examines the relationship between academic self-efficiency and academic achievement. The result shows a modestly positive relationship, but there is significant variability due to differences in how academic self-efficiency and academic performance are measured. The study integrates 12 years of research and cognitive and motivational factors that influence academic achievement among university students. Next is the influence of academic self-efficiency on university student academic performance, the mediating effect on academic engagement. This study explored the relationship between academic self-efficiency, academic engagement, and academic achievement among university students. The findings suggest that academic engagement mediates the relationship between academic self-efficiency and academic success. The study provides the theoretical and practical recommendation for universities to enhance student academic performance by promoting academic self-efficiency and engagement. Next is the current state and future trend, a situation network analysis of the academic performance field. This study analyzed the research topics and relationship between publication in the health and the education field. There's 9 categories were identified, including health, psychology, and demography. Psychological and sociological effects were found to be particularly relevant to the academic achievement. The study emphasized the importance of mental and emotional well-being and physical activity for students' academic performance. Last one is academic self-efficiency and academic performance in online learning. This study explored the relationship between academic self-efficiency and academic success in online learning environment. Due to the limited data, a comprehensive meta-analysis is not possible, but a narrative evaluation based on the recent findings is provided. Future approaches are discussed considering the similarities and differences between offline and online learning environment. Okay, that's all from me, and thank you.
Hi, good morning sir. My name Nurul Binti Muhammad YAZID. My metric number A20A1616. Today, I will present about research design and method. The first is research design. Research design is the setting up of setting for data collection and analysis to balance techniques economy which is relevant to the research purpose. The study design acts as both a conceptual variable and manual for collecting, measuring, and analysis data. The study uses quantitative research, which is there must be a correlation between the variable of the independent variable IV, which is the virtual lecture, and the dependent variable DV is the performance of the student. Data from both primary and secondary were collected from this study. Primary data is acquired from the questionnaire, while secondary data is acquired from journal article, books, government publication, and website connected to the subject to support primary data collected through an online survey. The second is method and sources. In this method and sources is research instrument, measurescape, pre-testing of this instrument. The research talk is a structured questionnaire written in English and bilingual dialect Malay spot by all respondents. They have 3 sections in the questionnaire. Section A, demographic information. Section B, virtual lecture statement. Section C, student performance during virtual lecture. Next is measure scale. In the scientific investigation, there are 4 different categories of scale. If a variable is measured with great precision, it can be examined using more protect statistical approach. They come in the form of nominal, domino, ordinal, interval, and ration scale. First one is nominal scale. Nominal scale is categories of objects that can be measured. On a numerical scale, nominal scale gives respondents have the option to choose the correct response from among the group exclusive group and classes. In a Section A survey, there are 2 of them, range and gender. Second is ordinal scale. It is possible to arrange the categories from highest to lowest. In the study, Section A of the questionnaire asks about education background. On an ordinal scale that ranges from high to low, PhD, master degree, diploma, and certificate are few examples. Third is interval scale. Value on interval scale, also referred to as a ration scale, also referred to as a rating scale, can be added, subtracted, multiplied, and divided. The interval between each scale point is equal or suggests the same distance between each scale point. Like a scale can be statistically validated because they are interval scale. In the study, respondents were asked to rate they agree or disagree with the finding on 5-point like scale. The last one is ration scale. A ration scale is a variable measuring scale with a quantitative aspect. The ration scale, which is the 4 level of measure, has a 0 point. This is a distinguishing feature of this scale. Ration scale share many of the same characteristics as nominal, domino, and interval scale. Nominal variables are using name or label, a set of value. The most informative scale is the ration scale because it tends to reveal the quantity and order of object between value. The next point is sampling. In this point, there are 2 small points, namely the population of the study and sample size. For population is a group of individuals who belong to the same group and live in the same geographical area. Population demography is a branch of science interested in collecting and evaluating this data. This research focus on the student University Malaysia Kelantan, where data show over 11,436 students. However, the study pay more attention to those who live in Pengkala Cepa, Kota Baru. Next point is sampling size. Sampling size is a proportion of the population that researchers need to ensure that there is enough information to draw a conclusion. The sample size in this study have an estimate of 2,200 respondents, accurately representing the entire population in the study. This data for experienced students in University Malaysia Kelantan was 16 collected through a self-administered survey. Students between the age of from 17 until 29 years old will participate in this study. This questionnaire have 22 questions. The last from this chapter is analysis plan. Data analysis method related to the variable of the study, including some other description of sampling technique for virtual lecture, DV, and performance of student IV. Using data analysis method is person correlation. In this analysis plan, there are 3 points. The first point is descriptive statistics, the second is reliability analysis, and the last is correlation. Descriptive analysis method will answer the question of what happened. In descriptive statistics, respondents are required to state their gender, age, race, education, and semester grade. Descriptive statistics will help in achieving the research goal, net reliability analysis, by using reliability analysis. The researchers can determine the extent to which the items in the questionnaire are related to each other. Researchers can obtain an index of internal consistency of the scale, the alpha reliability of the independent variable and dependent variable was used to determine the size of the variable which a value equal to a greater than 0.7. Last but not least is correlation. Pearson correlation coefficient was used to find out the effectiveness of virtual lecture on student performance in examination among students at University Malaysia Kelantan. That's all from me. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Siti di JEMANI. My number matrix is A198044. Today, I want to continue our presentation with SPSS data. For the demographic profile, as displayed on the slide, the highest percentage of the gender category is female at 73%. For the age, the highest percentage is 21 until 24 years old, which is 87.5%. Next, the respondent who answered the questionnaire the most were those with degree status, which is 89%. Malay showed the highest percentage who answered this question with a total of 88%. Finally, the total average grade of the first and last semester is dominated by the 3.1 until 4.0 pointer, which is 78.5% and 85.5%. Next, reliability test. In this study, total participate as respondent is 200 people. We use a Converge alpha, a coefficient of reliability, to evaluate the internal consistency of Likert type question. The table shows that the overall survey questionnaire Converge alpha value was 0.948, which is a good value. Lastly, a summary of the analysis of variance ANOVA. The value of F is larger enough to conclude that the set of independent variables, which is visual lecture, and the S contribute to the variance of in effectiveness commitment. Next, validity test. To assess whether the study is valid, the significant value must be less than 0.05. The variants used in this study are valid. This is because the total of significant value show a value of 0.00. Next, regulation test for independence variable. The R value indicates the relationship between the dependence and independence variable. The R value in this table is 0.843, which show a variable value. R square is the percentage of variance in the independence variable that can be accounted for by the independence variable. In this case, the value is 0.0110, which is beneficial. Next, regression test for dependent variables. This finding indicates that the null hypothesis can be rejected on further analysis. This is because the p-value of the ANOVA table is below the acceptable significant level of 0.05. As a result, the data show the virtual lecturer have a strong beneficial link with student performance. Next, correlation test. According to the table, this is no signification of visual lecturer for or student performance. This is because the required minimum significant level of 0.10 was not met. Because of that, it is able to infer the relationship between the two factors of visual lecturer and student performance by looking at the data. The positive correlation between visual lecturer and student performance is also shown by the percent correlation value of 1 and 0.843. Next, factor analysis. Looking at the means value in the table descriptive, it can be concluded that PFS10 is the most important variable that affects the effectiveness of visual lecture. The lowest value of 3.11 for VL3 show that the respondents strongly disagree with the method. Based on the correlation matrix, if n If any pair of variable has a value less than 0.5, consideration will be made to drop one of them. Based on the finding of the study, there are 35 pair of variables that are less than 0.5. Looking at the tables above, the KMO measure is 0.925, which is a very good value. From the table, we can see that Butler test is significant 0.00. All variables in the table commonalities are taken into account because they exceed 0.5. The table total variance show the components 1 to 3 show larger value. Further, the total percentage of variance illustration that the first factor account for 58.130%. Lastly, for me, the table on the left is the script plot and the right is the component matrix. In the right table, the researcher used the blank option, which is 0.5, which tell species not to print any variable with value less than 0.5. This makes the output more readable by removing the clutter of low correlation that may be meaningless. That's all for me. Thank you.
The second is contribution and contribution to knowledge. The results show that practical implication is the main aim of the face-to-face or traditional lecture. It does not have a negative impact on student performance. This variable creates a positive and strong relationship that can be seen in related studies as required by the specific goal of the objective to education. Educators and students can also improve their skill in using this technology in the future. To better understand the second is contribution of knowledge.